It's a tier list ranking 4 years in the making, and with Wilson rounding out the refresh streak, it's finally time for you all to call my opinions weak. Officially. But enough rhymes, as this is serious. 18 survivors await one last look, which is also why we have no time to lose. Oh, no. Don't go thinking this is going to be a deep dive on them all or anything, and besides, we've already did all that. These are just going to be brief summaries, or else we're going to be here all day. Speaking of though, starting at the top reminds us that Winona spent all day, every day, looking for her sister Charlie and investigating the lives of all those to come, which leads to the second criteria to uphold throughout the day, these animations and their lore implications. And Winona's here is what I think the best example of a not so great gameplay refresh, but a really darn important and impactful story overall. As let's face it, while her catapults are absolutely incredible, the rest of her leaves a lot to be desired, and her hunger tied to crafting downside is about as terrible as those get. She has potential, and I wouldn't ignore that trusty tape honestly, but seriously, when was the last time you saw a Winona in your game that wasn't planning on switching after they created the catapults? So to kick things off, Winona places herself under the not bad, but still not great spotlight of the C tier. And now that you got the gist, it's time to speed things up a bit. Wartalk's released before the next refresh actually, but the playful imp would still get reworked himself in a couple of hotfix just last year. Following all that, the guy is somehow even more powerful than he was when he first released, and that's no joke, as one beehive is all we need to have never-ending souls that heal him and the entire party, allow for him to instantly teleport across the entire frickin' map at will, provide 25 hunger each, and then some. So I ask, so what if he's a monster and can't eat properly? There are so many ways around both of those things that it doesn't even matter, and do you even recall that he takes 50% less sanity drain from other monsters? Because I frickin' didn't. Oh yeah, he's strong as heck, folks. Farm souls and you win strong, basically. But given that this is supposed to be a refresh ranking overall, I still believe that at least one engulfs even this guy, so I'm gonna have to put him at the super high A tier for the time being. But hold up, Beard, what rework could possibly out-hop the soul sucker himself? Well, and this might surprise a lot of you, it's Willow's. Being the second official refresh ever, I'm just gonna come out and say that this update was exactly what I thought character refreshes were gonna be. It was a great, if not near perfect balance of fire and ice, as what else would an arsonist murderer not like, you know? She was still Willow with all of her fire immunity and then some, with the addition of Bernie, something that also served to connect her to the gruesome animation you're seeing before your eyeballs right now. Nothing felt out of place, you know? The entire thing fit together nicely while keeping the foundation of the character completely intact. So while there is an argument to be made about her update being a bit tame nowadays, I personally place it at the very top of the list. And who knows, she might be the only one still burning up there when this is all said and done. But we're truly only 4 characters in now, so a lot can change. Sort of like how Wormwood had to adapt to the world of Don't Starve Together after their time in Hamlet. There was still a green thumb with a really tough break when it came to healing. However, it was really only up to us to adapt ourselves. So what if food didn't heal? Lots of other frickin' stuff did and does still, so once we got used to playing a bit differently, the plant really grew on us, I feel. Easy living logs, incredible armor, better traps, fertilizer synergies, unique farming interactions, neutrality towards certain mobs, and more to name just a few advantages, of course. Are they the best? No. Do I recommend them for newer players? Absolutely not. But do they have a genuinely unique playstyle that I myself appreciate and even enjoy? Oh yes. Which is why I'm planting them in a solid B tier for sure. And then there's Warley. My sweet and spicy and electric and salty Warley. Easily the man with the saddest backstory. It still didn't answer or even do much of anything in the grand scheme of things, so unfortunately, we begin by deducting points there. That said, minus the whole food memory mechanic and faster hunger drain thing, the chef is about as good a support character that a support character can ever be. In any game mind, amazing, unique, and influential dishes, fantastic spices that can truly change the game and just individual characters, and just about a never-ending list of character synergies in the first place are things that we simply cannot ignore, even if most of us ignore playing him. It's a tough choice, as while I recognize everything I just said, he's just not fun to play for extended periods of time in my opinion. Which is why the guy's gonna enter the C tier above Winona, as let's just say the update as a whole didn't quite nail the presentation. But then Woody comes around for a brand new hoedown, only for his animation to feature a showdown with a tree guardian and absolutely no lore whatsoever. Not only that, it didn't even explain his new quote-unquote curses either. They just kinda happened. And all that's just the beginning of my problem with this guy, as despite the obvious use of Jesus Goose, the heck even was this refresh? To this day, he cannot counter the now controllable full moon nights that we literally work towards through the endgame storyline, has a horrendous downside following the transformations, has a tacked on loyalty thing for some reason, and these quote-unquote curses are not just things that he can choose to subject himself to. Yeah, no. I actually liked Woody once, but this refresh never sat right with me and still doesn't. D tier all the way back to Moose Land for this axe-murdering fool. Speaking of loyalties though, I'll admit that mine have swayed heavily on Wirt over the years. I wasn't a fan at first, and she never did feel that refined, but after some much needed updates, she is easily one of the best characters in this game. Murm armies are simpler than ever to form. She is the only survivor in the entire game that can tank Bearger for Pete's sake. Frogs are now neutral to her. Her clever disguise is game altering. She can literally see tentacles before they slap a silly. She loves reading and learning. She offers unique interactions with fish. And oh yeah, she even gives us the Murm King for Pete's sake. So while her animation didn't accomplish much and was more tied to Hollow Knights, I think I'd place her in the A tier above Wartox even, without much of a fight. But in comes refresh number 5, and I gotta be honest, I sort of forgot that Wendy got refreshed in the first place. No joke, when I play her in today's game, I just play her as I always did and don't even bother with the Pip Spook minigame mechanics and her ectoherbology at all. You know why? Because her and her dead sister are totally capable of being a dynamic duo without all that crap. Besides, over half the potions don't really accomplish anything in the first place. What do we all use? The healing and damage ones, yes. But don't take all this as me being down on her as a character at the end of the day. She is still the undisputed queen of horde murder, and is actually quite strong against the likes of Bee Queen for sure. I also like her pedal ability, the cistern, and Abigail's leveling mechanics now, but what more do we truly need or care about here? So yes, this is a strange one in my opinion. The animation is heart-wrenching, but introduces Jack Carter. The rework added quite a bit of new gameplay to Wendy, but it's all optional, and Wendy doesn't need it, and Wendy overall is still frail old Wendy. So I'm thinking mid-B tier, everybody. I enjoy Wormwood's gameplay just a bit more, so she'll have to rest under him for now. But folks, we're at the halfway point now, and that's something I'm sure Walter players know a lot about, as something tells me they like to keep their distance. Oh, and remember that Woody lore we were looking for? Yeah, for whatever reason, it's now in a Walter animation, so there's that, I guess. But how do I feel about our resident scouts? Relatively neutral, to be honest. I love the idea of a ranged character, but nerfs to his shooting speed sour me. His dumb tree perk is dumb, and I really don't know why clothes can't give him sanity like the others at the end of the day. Plus, his sanity plumbing from damage in the first place can really be debilitating, even for tenured players, but balance all that with Wabi, his unique tent, story times, and a select other upsides, and he's passable. And that's where I have him personally, a passable C, almost low B tier type survivor who needs just a little bit more love to make them oh so much better. He's still way more fun than the other C's though. Wickford on the other hand is arguably just Wickford, but better, if we choose to make her so, that is. But her animation is outstanding regardless, and filled to the brim with interesting discussions. She still offers up her battle armor, and can now just sing stuff to death. So what's not to like? And yeah, sure, some of her songs are downright laughable, but she's still the same fake stage actor that she's always been, so it's hard to fault that. Overall, it's a pretty boring refresh update, which does deduct points from her, so the high B tier, maybe even possible C tier is where you go, girl. Keep on belting out those ballads. But yes, Wes. Folks, I know how all of this is about to sound, and I know the inside jokes at play here. However, I kid you not when I say I love this refresh. The animation is is eye-opening on so many levels, while also giving us a major player in the game in George Witherstone. Wes's balloonomancy is actually really flippin' useful, and Clay still managed to make him more of a challenge character in this update with stat pairing, work deficiencies, and gimmicks like lightning attractiveness. People are gonna see this thumbnail and think I'm baiting them, but I promise you with all my heart, I am all in on this. The Wes refresh is an all-time A-tier update. And Weber's could be right up there too, man. As just like Wickford, they're just Weber, but even better. Plus, the animation for the release gives us so much to chew on, it's crazy. Honestly, folks, I don't think we need to be here much longer. Spider armies are easier than ever to tame and keep. New spiders have joined the team that helps switch up a lot. Razors can shave nests. They can sleep in nests for Pete's sake. And this was also the start of being able to pick up spiders as anyone. So there you go. Yup, it's A tier, no question. A fun, unique playstyle that's also quite powerful at that, which also just so happens to lend itself quite nicely to the team as a whole, and we got something here for sure. Even for brand spanking new newbies. But this next girl slash woman slash granny is anything but beginner friendly, even if she is arguably the strongest survivor in this game now. Wanda's up the bat, or better yet, whip, and she doesn't miss, as they say. The strongest weapon in the game, bar none. The coolest playstyle once you learn her teleportation mechanics, bar none. Incredible support utility, bar none. And a whole fresh look at health mechanics are the things we can expand upon for days before we even mention her shadow affinities. So without even an ounce of hesitation, she is heading straight to the top. But not above Willow, mind, as again, she was a new release, not a refresh. But let us talk the guy who underwent 3, maybe even more separate refreshes before we got to where he is today, shall we? Briefly though, as these final 5 are the most recent in our minds, so we don't need to spend too much time giving our thoughts. His animation has huge implications and holds one of the most important events in this game's history. He's still mighty powerful, only we need to work for it instead of just stuffing his face with stuff. And he has polar opposite mechanics when either weak or otherwise. It's fine, nothing groundbreaking really, and I find it's even a bit redundant with the gym and dumbbell nonsense, but I like the attempts taken by Clay regardless. He is still the quote-unquote go mighty, hold F, and win character, which puts him in the C tier for me, as I hate playing as him because of that, but he is totally fine. Trust me, he might be even a B tier on a good day. But WX78 starts the true Final 4, and they're also the start of a triple header of just ultra powerful refreshes. I mean, come on now. What else can I say apart from the guy being able to achieve infinite light, incredible speeds, and complete counters to various seasons in mere days? That their animation is great too? Yeah, because it is. Overall, the entire thing is a bit too OP for me to put it any higher than the highest A tier available, but again, this was just me being stingy. Super strong characters turn me off a bit, and WX is arguably the strongest in the game now. Wanda simply beats him solely for her playstyle alone. Wickerbottom's up next, and before we get into it, I'll have you know that she used to be my main back in the day. She was a goddess then, and she's even more so now, by like tenfold for Pete's sake. She can control literally everything in the environment and beyond by simply turning the page or two, everyone. Factor in her lore-heavy animation that you've just got to watch again for yourself, and once more, that's an A-tier character refresh right there. Just still a bit too strong for me to give it the ultimate prize. It's Maxwell's time to shine, and shine he did for like 4 straight weeks, as no refresh ever came close to being reworked as much as this one did. I like it, even if I still don't feel very puppet mastery, but there is no denying how versatile and powerful the guy became when it was all said and done, and let's face it, there's not a lot that can beat his magic hats. High B tier for sure, and oh so close to being on A. And finally, the OG, Wilson Percival Higsbury. But sorry folks, I hate it. As many of you know, as I've been explaining myself far too many times recently, but here's the short version regardless. Clay chose the wrong way way to do the right thing with a tutorial character and a progressive system that they claim that they want to implement nowadays. And oh yeah, even though it's been out for this entire month, the damn thing is still broken and doesn't even make sense within its own system, so there you go, Wilson. You're at the bottom. Your animation was legendary though, so many thanks for that. But there you have it, everyone. A video that's 4 years and 17 days in the making, all about ranking every character's update for Don't Starve Together. So yes, I would label this an historic day. Thanks for watching, folks. Well wishes to all. Be civil now, as this is not only all for fun, it's just one beard's opinion, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.